7 million years ago, the Earth looked nothing like today. Vast grasslands stretched endlessly, broken only by thick forests and rivers teeming with life. Giant predators ruled. Herds of ancient antelopes thundered across the plains. Monstrous crocodiles lay hidden in the water. In this raw and unforgiving world, our earliest ancestors were not yet masters of fire, nor wielders of weapons. They were small, fragile, and vulnerable. But they had one advantage: an evolving intelligence that would soon change everything. Their story of survival began not with weapons but with hands, eyes, and memory. They are Homo sapiens. We are their descendants. This is their story. First came gathering. Our ancestors didn't find themselves on an empty earth. There were other animals here first. Animals who had already figured out how to survive. So before our ancestors could do anything else, they had to learn to simply not die. That meant searching for food, observing which plants were safe to eat, and remembering that knowledge so they wouldn't forget come next season. Gradually, over many years, they built up a library of edible plants. They learned which fruits were sweet, which roots could heal wounds, which berries were poison. And mothers passed this knowledge down to children so the whole family could survive. Every step was a lesson. Every mistake could cost a life. And without the ability to store food, every day was a new challenge. Each morning, they had to set out once more to face the dangers of the wild in search of what they needed to survive. Over time, they got better and better at it. But there was more to learn than just what to eat. After all, plants don't defend themselves. Animals did. And if our ancestors wanted to get bigger, stronger, smarter, they needed to find ways to protect themselves. Meanwhile, across the savannas, the giant predators sensed danger long before they saw their prey. Keen eyesight and an acute sense of smell helped them sniff out their next meal. But even these masters of the hunt had to rely on more than just their senses. They had to be smart about their attacks. Most predators chase down their prey, relying on speed and agility to tire out their victim and make the kill. Sometimes they employ clever tricks, luring their prey or hiding, and then pouncing. In a world full of hungry predators, there was no such thing as being too smart. Even the smartest animal sometimes needs a bit of luck to survive. Imagine you are a young member of our ancestor species trying to gather food. You move through the forest, looking carefully for ripe fruit, listening for dangerous predators, hoping to find something to eat before nightfall. As you walk, you notice a big animal up ahead. Is it friend or foe? Too far away to tell, but maybe you can get closer. As you approach, its back starts to rise and fall with steady breaths. Maybe it is a large plant-eating mammal. It doesn't seem to have noticed you, but you aren't sure you want to risk getting any closer to find out. Instead, you continue on your way. You've been walking for hours. The sun is high in the sky now, and you still haven't found anything to eat. Just as you begin to despair, you spot a bush laden with sweet blackberries. You dig in and quickly fill your mouth with the delicious fruit. Suddenly, a guttural roar makes you jump. What was that? A low rumble in the ground shakes the berries from the bush. You look around frantically for the source of the noise. There, slinking out of the bushes, is a large feline beast with teeth like daggers. You freeze with fear. What should you do? If you're playing the role of our ancestors, the answer is run. Run fast and don't look back. But if you're the predator, the stakes are higher. If you fail to catch this meal, you might go hungry for days. As the little gathering trembles in fear, you prepare to strike. Your claws extended, you dive in to make the kill. The little gathering screams and stumbles. Now is your chance. With a final burst of speed, you catch up and bring it down. Finally, you have caught your dinner. As the minutes ticked by, both the hunter and the gatherer grew hungrier and thirstier. They were playing a high-stakes game, each desperate for victory. Yet neither knew the other was there. Each was focused solely on their own struggle for survival. But the most important skill our ancestors developed wasn't chasing down prey or finding plants to eat. It was memory. They had to remember what worked and what didn't work, not just for themselves, but for everyone in their family group. They also had to remember where things were, whether it was a good place to find food, a watering hole, or a potential hiding spot from a predator. And because remembering is hard without a writing system, our ancestors relied on something even better: pictures. Cave paintings may have seemed like a thing apart from our everyday lives, but they are the distant relatives of those first prehistoric drawings. Without language, pictures were a way to communicate ideas, including how to survive. When our ancestors drew pictures of animals, plants, and tools, they weren't just creating art. They were building a knowledge base for future generations. These pictures served as a kind of instruction manual for how to live. But gathering alone was not enough. The plains were full of herds, antelope, pigs, and birds, that offered more than plants ever could. Meat meant strength. Protein meant survival. And that's why our ancestors started hunting. At first it was simple. A group of our ancestors might chase a frightened animal toward a riverbank where sharp stones lay hidden. They would use the river and stones to finish the job. Later, sticks became spears. Stones became blades. Together, they learned to strike, trap, and surround. Alone, they were weak. Together, they became hunters. The birth of hunting forever changed the relationship between humans and nature. No longer were they completely dependent on what nature provided. They could actively participate in shaping their environment. Early humans learned to identify the best spots to set up camp, places with plenty of food and water, but also defensible and easily monitored for predators. They also started to preserve their food, not in refrigerators or freezers, but through techniques like drying and smoking, extending its shelf life and making it safer to eat. This allowed them to travel further and stay away from their camp for longer periods. The ability to plan ahead, whether it was knowing where to find food, how to store it, or when to set out on a journey, became essential. This is what it means to be human. And now, after millions of years of gathering and hunting, we are ready for the next step. It was about 2.6 million years ago when our ancestors started using tools, simple stone tools. It sounds like a big deal, and it was. But some people might think that's all there is to the story of human development. We made tools and everything got better. Not quite. When our ancestors started making tools, they were still stuck being small, weak apes with fragile bodies and big brains. And let's face it, no matter how good your knife skills are, that's still not going to help you run faster than a lion. Humans needed two things to dominate the planet. First was the ability to cooperate, to organize and work together. Second was our big brain, which enabled complex thought and planning. Both of these allowed humans to build alliances, share knowledge, create tools, and adapt to different environments. The combination proved unbeatable. This made the cooperative hunting and gathering society possible. Its members possessed unique skills and knowledge. Some were great at tracking animals, others at reading the signs of the land. Each person had a role, and together they formed a powerful unit. And so life 7 million years ago was very different from today. Back then, the Earth wore a different face. Giant animals roamed freely, and early humans huddled in small groups struggling to survive. The mighty predators of that era ruled the land. The delicate balance of nature held sway, and the concept of human dominance was a distant dream. But within those fragile human communities flickered the spark of intelligence, a catalyst for change that would echo through the ages. 7 million years ago, gathering and hunting were not just means of sustenance, they were philosophies of life. They shaped the course of human history. They forced our ancestors to explore, to innovate, and to adapt. The story of gathering and hunting is the story of humanity's ascent, a testament to the power of resilience and the triumph of the human spirit. And that is why today, we tell their story. Hey there, thanks for watching. Hey, remember, if you liked this video, you can share it with your friends.